Secondary weapons have been up and down throughout the decades of Call of Duty. Sometimes they're dinky last resorts. Sometimes they're good enough to stand alone. Sometimes they're meant for stealthy kills. Sometimes they're literally rocket launchers. But what secondaries got the most usage other than their primary counterparts? What were the secondaries you put on your class and you immediately switched to after you spawned in? What is up, everybody? Chaos, thank you for all the love on the channel with the COD history videos. Today we're going all out with a classic topic. This video is dedicated to the 20 best secondary weapons in Call of Duty history. Handguns, machine pistols, launchers, shotguns, they're all fair game this time around. So you give me your definitive list down in the comments, drop a like, and remember, if you're into free stuff, you need to be following Chaos X Silencer on Twitter and Chaos Comics. We are going to be giving away tens of thousands of dollars worth of prizes from now all the way through Christmas. Both links are at the top of the description. At number 20 today, I'm going to go with the MOG 12 in Black Ops 4. Now, Black Ops 4, it made a bold decision. They moved shotguns back to the secondary category, the first time that's been done since Modern Warfare 2. Now, with a longer time to kill and relatively weaker shotguns, you probably didn't expect to see the MOG on this list, but you obviously forgot about Dragon's Breath rounds. It was the only gun in Black Ops 4 that could be loaded with incendiary shells, but they were arguably the best we've ever seen. The burn effect was fast. The only way to stop it before it killing you most of the time was to hit the manual heal button. But guess what? If you weren't using the stim shot, the default healing speed usually was not fast enough to stop the burn effect before you died. The MOG on its own was decent as a secondary, but when you loaded Dragon's Breath into it, yeah, the one-hit kill range was insanely long, and the speedy handling and rate of fire, it just made things worse. At number 19 today, the combat knife in Black Ops 2. You can't have a list of great secondaries without mentioning the thing that gave birth to the entire community. The Black Ops 2 combat knife was the first ever melee weapon in Call of Duty, and a number of people who instantly flocked to it thought it was insane. By leaving your secondary weapon empty in the created class menu, the best created class we've ever had, the game would give you a combat knife instead, and it was much faster with its attacks than the standard knife animation, as well as having really good mobility speeds. So by stocking up on perks instead of weapons, you could run around like Jason Voorhees and slice enemies into pieces while staying completely hidden. The popularity of the Black Ops 2 combat knife led to the creation of the melee weapon category. It did. It paved the way. At number 18, Akimbo snake shots in Modern Warfare. Thankfully, these don't exist anymore, at least not in their original form. But they're still worthy of a shout out to their legacy. The 357 revolver kind of sucked back in Modern Warfare, and running it in Akimbo form didn't really help it. But when you threw in the snake shot ammo, it turned it into the best shotgun in the entire game, possibly one of the best in COD history. The snake shots dominated both multiplayer and Warzone for a few weeks before the devs caught on and heavily nerfed them. Today, they're decent, probably mid-tier in the grand scheme of things. Back in the day, they were completely busted. They broke the game. Speaking of something that broke the game, and we're only at number 17, the NX Shadow Claw in Black Ops 3, one of the OG supply drop weapons in the game. It was an updated version of the classic ballistic knife, but with a number of enhancements. People were stoked for this one if you got lucky to get it. For starters, you could fire it 6 times before needing to reload. Still carried that one-hit insta-kill across the map. The reload was quick. You could run around, pick your arrows up to conserve ammo. And did I mention, you could run it in akimbo form. People argue over whether this is an enhanced ballistic knife or an enhanced crossbow, but either one is good for me. It was strong, and the fact that it was locked behind supply drops, that was pretty frustrating. At number 16, do you remember this? The AMP-63 in Black Ops Cold War? Now, the PM-63 was hot garbage in the original Black Ops. I think we can all agree with that. And then it was brought back in Cold War, but it got buffs. It was moved to the pistol category. It featured a ridiculous number of attachments you could use to make it better this time around. The base damage was decent for a pistol, but once you threw on all the different buffs and whatnot, it was arguably stronger than most SMGs in the game. Now, in both standard multiplayer and Warzone, it was a high-tier pick, and depending on what you used it for, some would even call it OP. It had to be nerfed several times to bring it back to earth. At number 15, let's go way back. The Javelin in Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 respectively. I couldn't really pick, so I cheated. I mean, the launcher actually debuted in the COD 4 campaign, but it wasn't part of the multiplayer until the sequel. Lock-on launcher fires a giant mortar shell into the sky, falls down on top of the enemy, rains hellfire, makes it much harder to avoid, and possibly far more destructive than a straight-on shot. In objective modes, and on maps with tight spots, it was powerful. I mean, it was capable of wiping entire teams at once if they were trying to take an objective. The insane power made it a fan favorite in both Modern Warfare 2 and 3, and since both of them were super strong, I decided to make it a tie at number 15. Who remembers the Javelin on spawn on Wasteland? At number 14, The 1911 in Black Ops 3. It's one of the most recognizable firearms in human history. It's been in production for over 100 years, a century, and it's now believed to be one of the most popular guns in the world. Naturally, it's appeared a number of times in Call of Duty. In the Black Ops 3 version, I think it may have been a little too good. It hit for 50 base damage. It made it a 2-shot kill despite having low recoil, super fast handling, and a very, very high fire rate cap. I'm all for making classic weapons powerful. But the Black Ops 3 version honestly kind of felt like a deagle in the body of a 1911, and the fact you had to pull it from a supply drop just made things a little frustrating. Supply drops are frustrating. At number 13, the Python in Black Ops 1. One of my favorite revolvers in COD history. Easily the most popular secondary in the game, and it ran circles around the other handguns particularly. Now, I mean, who would pick up the Makarov or something like that? I mean, you wouldn't. The Python featured hefty recoil, but it came with a powerful shot that could take enemies down with 2 hits. Put the speed reloader attachment on it, it was insane. And some madmen even ran around in akimbo form with it just for those juicy insta-kills. So many great memories with this gun. At number 12. Not so many great memories here. The Akimbo Marshall 16s in Black Ops 3. Yeah, the infamous, right? That's the word that comes to mind. Shotgun pistol hybrid added to supply drops a few months after Black Ops 3 came out, and as soon as people started running around in akimbo form, all bets were off. The cries of pay to win immediately roared across Twitter and YouTube as those lucky enough to pull the Marshalls from the supply drop, they were smiling. They were running around dropping 40 kills. The one-shot kill range was absurd, and since you could zip around on your jetpack and get right in people's faces with these and stick it down their mouth, they were easy to exploit. But, despite the fans' hatred, Treyarch figured a few years later they could outdo themselves. At number 11, we segue into the Akimbo Marshalls in Black Ops Cold War. They were revived, and once again, shotgun pistol hybrid. Now, the Cold War design was obviously more era-appropriate and honestly looked pretty sweet, but once you leveled it up in the gunsmith, you'd become the most hated person in the lobby again. The Akimbo Marshalls, particularly with Dragon's Breath rounds, were some of the most ridiculous things in the game and completely dominated both Cold War and Warzone. After a while, Treyarch and Raven nerfed their respective versions of the weapon, and they're both in a much more balanced state, I guess. But in the early days of Cold War, if you saw the Marshall online, you wouldn't go 20 feet without seeing that giant fire burst from somebody's Akimbo shotgun pistols. Now we reach the top 10, moving right along. The AA-12 in Modern Warfare 2. Now, when people think about shotties from the original Modern Warfare 2, they usually think of the Spaz, or they think of the Model 1887. But nobody talks about the insane power of the AA-12. I love this gun. Full auto shotgun, relatively small magazine, but the power was insane. Despite being fully automatic, it could easily one-shot kill people who were too close, and since the recoil wasn't that hard to control, you could charge in on objectives and wipe entire groups of enemies out with ease. It had a passionate fan club, me included, and it was deserving. I don't think there was a better room-clear weapon in Modern Warfare 2 than this. At number 9, the Cap 40 in Black Ops 2. This isn't even fair, but it was a secondary machine pistol. It was banned from competitive play, which that's a pretty awesome title to hold in COD history. With the fire rate and the damage of a submachine gun, it featured an extremely intimidating time to kill while still maintaining the mobility of a pistol. The only downside, if there is one, was a small 15-round mag. You would constantly have to be switching out with extended mags, but that's okay, right? It wasn't that much of an issue. The sheer stopping power of the Cap was some of the best in any COD secondaries, and it was worthy of a spot. Let me know, what was your highest kill game running around with the Cap 40s as your primary? At number 8, the 50 GS in Modern Warfare 2019. I love the Deagle as much as the next guy, but I think we can all agree on which one's the best. I hope. One-shot pistol, I mean, it's cool enough. But when it's in the body of the best-looking and arguably best-sounding Deagle ever, it's hard to put it down. The 50 GS was the beefy handgun that fired pretty slowly by default, but still had the power to instantly kill somebody with a single headshot. If you kitted it for range, it further enhanced that power and allowed you to insta-kill people from pretty impressive distances. Once again, it's a pistol. The 50 GS was a very high-skill weapon, and maybe that's why more people didn't use it, but it had a lot of potential. It was strong. It was more than worthy of a top 10 spot, and any pistol that can one-shot from mid to long range, it deserves to be on today's secondary list. At number 7, once again, not fair. The B23R in Black Ops 2, one of my favorite pistols in COD history. Many people's favorite burst pistol of all time. It was hyped. It was real. It obviously featured all the speed and mobility of a standard pistol, but with 3 fast shots that came out very quickly and with very little downtime between the bursts. Up close, they dealt more than enough damage to kill somebody with one burst. At mid-range, maybe 2 to 3 bursts. I mean, it was accurate. It allowed you to be consistent. It allowed you to challenge at mid-range. You could treat it as a primary. You could drop 80 to 90 kills in this thing on smaller maps. I loved it. And if I'm putting it at number 7, you know there's some crazy ones in the pipeline. And was there anything more satisfying than squeezing the trigger once with the B23R in Black Ops 2 and getting that kill? At number 6, the M93 Raffica in Modern Warfare 2. The first burst pistol in COD history. I still think it's one of the best. When designing it, Infinity Ward thought for some reason it would be a really good idea to basically just copy-paste the M16's damage stats, but shrunken down into the body of a handgun. 3-round burst could deal 40 damage a pop without stopping power, and if you threw on SP, it was a 1-burst kill from anywhere on the map. You heard me right. Anywhere on the map. It was a tad awkward to control thanks to the misaligned sights and the magazine sizes that weren't divisible by 3, but the sheer power and mobility of the Raffica? I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it in Call of Duty. I really don't. At number 5. The Mozu with Skull Splitter in Black Ops 4. I've called this the best pistol in COD history a few times. I'm still there. In terms of traditional handguns, it's as good as it gets. 6-shot revolver, pretty standard revolver traits, although the recoil was rather low for a high-power weapon. On its own, decent weapon. You throw on the Skull Splitter mod, I think it's one of the most powerful weapons in COD history, not just secondaries. Setup made it a one-shot kill to the head no matter where, no matter what. It didn't matter no matter what time. With the mobility and the fire rate of a pistol and the one-shot kill potential of a sniper, it was at the top of top tier. You didn't see much of it from competitive, I mean, since it was flat out banned, but in pubs, everybody was running it. They were sweating it. At number 4, the MP9 in Modern Warfare 3, one of the most busted machine pistols in COD history, is literally an SMG that was put in the machine pistol category for whatever reason. By default, it came with a 32-round mag. It fired at 900 rounds per minute. Up close, you could kill with 2 shots to the head, and at max range, you could still kill in roughly the same amount of time as an SMG. You put extendeds on it, you could bring the shot count up to an absurd 48. And with the Akimbos, the time to kill was one of the fastest in the game. It never returned after Modern Warfare 3, likely to how dominant it was, and there's no way to bring back the MP9 without severely nerfing it, and at that point, why would anybody use it? At number 3, the legendary Spaz 12 in Modern Warfare 2. Never before had a secondary weapon been so powerful. This was the first time that I remember seeing people ditching their primary and running a secondary for the entire match. Looking back at it, it was easy to see why. Pump-action shotgun featured some of the highest damage in the franchise history, and the ammo capacity was really good. It allowed you to blast away target after target after target without needing to take a break or reload. I mean, it wasn't quite as busted as a certain other shotgun on launch day, but the Spaz was iconic. It marked a turning point for the series as a whole. From this point forward, secondary weapons were going to be very powerful, and Modern Warfare 2 was just the beginning. At number 2 today, the Akimbo FMG9s in Modern Warfare 3. I've told this story 1,000 times. I went to the first Call of Duty XP, got to play Modern Warfare 3 a few months early, and these were in that build. And I was really amazed that nobody caught on to them. Then I was even more amazed when they actually shipped untouched to the full release of the game. The machine pistols fired at over 1,000 rounds per minute. You could kill with 3 shots. You know what happens when you get 2 of these firing at once? You've got one of the fastest killing weapons in Call of Duty history, and it took them weeks to patch it out. Before the nerfs, it was even more accurate than they are today, but even if you boot up Plutonium right now, you're still going to have great success if you run these. They are busted. They were busted. They will forever be busted. But at number 1 today, the best secondary in COD history has to go to the Akimbo Model 1887s in Modern Warfare 2, the most ridiculous secondary weapon ever. Awesome lever action shotgun, sweet sound effect, pretty generous one-shot kill range, but somebody over at Infinity Ward saw an opportunity for greatness. They were busted on launch day. They were, but they were fun. You flipped them around like the Terminator, and some kind of oversight in the damage range allowed you to instantly kill people from everywhere. They were quickly patched, and they're no longer as powerful as they once were. But the original unpatched version will always be my favorite secondary in COD history. There is no topping this, and I want you to comment if you were lucky enough to play with these before they actually got patched back in the day. Let me know if you guys agree, disagree with the list. Make sure to follow Chaos Comics and Chaos X Silencer on Twitter, and I'll see you soon.